Hi again. So glad to see you back with us this week. We're going to continue looking at 10 reasons why I wouldn't plant a church. We're on talk number 3 of this. And here's the next reason, excuse number 7. I don't have the resources now, but one day I will do it. Well, that sounds great, doesn't it? That one day far off in the future. We'll get to it when we've got the resources. Now, that's similar to saying it's not in our vision. I'll make resources available when other things have passed on through the church, or when all of a sudden, miraculously, I've got lots of money in the church bank account, or I've got an extra 200 members, or whatever it may be. I want to tell you that one day never comes. One day never comes. Because actually there'll always be something else, some other demand, something that will come along in church life and begin to sap us and begin to distract us and begin to take us away from what God actually wants us to be doing. And those things might seem really good, they might seem powerful, they might seem helpful at the time, but ultimately they are distractions. They take us away from the core of what churches should be doing, which is reaching out and planting new churches. I can tell you, when I was in the middle of projects, as I've said before, very little outward thinking happened. Why? Because there's only so much emotional energy a church leader or leadership team or a church itself can muster to do things. Church planting is in our very DNA. It's in my DNA as an Elim pastor and an Elim missionary. My movement was formed in the UK on the basis of church planting and reaching out. It should be in the DNA of every Christian to reach out and to witness. Jesus told us in Acts chapter 1 verse 8 that we would be his witnesses. Now I want you to know that word witness has the same root in the original language as martyr. Well, that's not so pleasant, is it? We don't want to say that we're his martyrs, but the truth is that when we reach out, when we stretch ourselves, when we plant out, something else dies. Something else has to be reprioritized. We have to begin to say, we've got the resources we have. We're going to redeploy and use for the kingdom of God now in reaching out. So here's a principle. We have to re-dig the wells of church planting. I'll say something now. No other project you're involved in will truly be blessed until you reprioritize and make sure that reaching out and church planting is central to what you're doing. That's a massive statement, but I found it to be true myself. Excuse number 8. I don't think the spiritual climate is right. I don't think the spiritual climate is right. Another way of saying that is, it's hard here. The ground is so hard. Spiritually tough environment in which we live. Now, that all sounds spiritual, and I've heard that said in so many different ways. It's too difficult here. We take that from the Matthew chapter 13, where Jesus told the parable of the farmer scattering seed, and there was the path and the rocky ground and the thorns and the good soil. Everyone believes their soil is hard. Everyone believes, for some reason, that they are working on the path, or they're working amongst the rocks, or they're working amongst the thistles and the thorns. Very few people that I've met over the years say, this ground is good ground that I'm working on. Now, there's something in this parable, some things that maybe we haven't realized. Firstly, when a farmer scatters seed on the field, he's not aiming for the path. The path is on the edge of the field. I was privileged a while ago when we were living in the UK to be living on a farm, a vegetable farm. It was an arable farm. Amazing experience. But the farmer always left the edge of the field for public walkways. If the path is on the edge, it's not central, it's not in the middle, it's on the edge. The farmer is not aiming to plant seed where people are going to walk. And then when the farmer scatters seed, he's not aiming for the rocky area. If the field is full of rocks, the farmer will clear the rocks out first. He will take them and dispose of them and put them somewhere else. There might be a few rocks left, but when the farmer is scattering his seed, when he's planting, he doesn't aim for the rocks. He goes around them. But some seed invariably lands there, but it's not what he's after. And guess what? When the farmer is scattering his seed, he's not aiming for thistles either. He's not aiming for the thorns. Again, these areas tend to be around the edge of fields. They tend to be areas where the farmer has removed it. A good farmer is always going to clear the ground. So here are two things I want us to think about when we're saying the soil, the ground is too hard, the climate is not right. Firstly, in terms of percentages, how much of the farmer's field was pathway, how much is rocks, and how much is thorns? The reality is probably about 5% of the field. It's not a huge percentage, which means 95% of that farmer's field that Jesus is talking about is good soil. 95% is good soil. Secondly, I need to see what's currently growing in my field, in my community, in my area where I'm working. You know, if the enemy can plant his seeds and see those grow and see his devilish fruit come out of those, how much more will the good seed of the gospel of Jesus Christ planted in that soil bring a harvest? You see, if the enemy can grow stuff in that field, in your community, then I put it to you that means that field is good soil. It's just what's planted there is causing the issue. I want you to say this, and it's a principle. I am living in a field of good soil. I'm living in a field of good soil. I'm working in the right place. Join me next time when we look at the final two excuses as to why we can't plant a church.